Wayne Szalinski has invented a shrink ray, and now he just needs to get it to work. When a neighbor's baseball goes through the Szalinski's attic window, his kids Amy and Nick go with their neighbors Russ and Ron to retrieve it, leading to all four being accidentally shrunk. Lost in the wilderness of the backyard, the four kids must face dangers of epic proportions to make it home alive. Wayne searches for a solution as he has to tell his wife the last thing any parent wants to hear: "Honey, I shrunk the kids."
Welcome to Movie Friends. My name is Seth.
And I'm Michelle.
Today we're talking about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids from 1989. Directed by Joe Johnston. Written by Tom Schulman, Stuart Gordon, Brian Usna, and Ed Neha. Cinematography by Hiro Narita. Composed by James Horner. Edited by Michael A. Stevenson. Costume design by Carol Berlasky. Starring Rick Moranis, Marcia Strassman, Amy O'Neill, Robert Oliveri, Thomas Wilson Brown, and Jared Rushton. Michelle, what's going on?
What's going on, Seth? Are we stuck in the 80s this month?
Well, we shall see. But so far, yeah, it's been 80s action.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if the patron pick delivers us from the 80s. But that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. We didn't plan this. It kind of just happened that way, right?
No, we did not plan that. No.
Yeah. Happy accident.
Yeah, that's right. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? I mean, me, I guess. This was my pick.
Right.
So I guess it's me who thunk it. I thunked the shrunk.
I was Yeah, and we should probably just say right now that this is not proper grammar, right?
Apparently not. No.
I never thought twice about it.
Right? It's like the biggest goof of it all.
Mm-hmm.
It should be Honey, I Shrank.
I Shrank the Kids. Yeah.
But it's the way Wayne delivers it to Diane of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But for a title, it should be Honey, I Shrank the Kids.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I think shrank sounds clumsy.
I agree.
You know,
I mean,
shrunk.
I'm not one who's really nitpicky about grammar, but I think as we just grew up with it, shrank sounds weird.
Right. Yeah. It will always sound weird. The other thing. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, we got a shout out to someone signed up for our Patreon. Paul.
Dune Buggy. Wow.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Very
so cool
exciting.
to have you.
If you want to be like Paul, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. Look, you've been listening to the show for over a year now, week in, week out. And you've been saying, oh, I'll do that. Oh, I'll do that. Well, you know what? Now is the time to just do it. It's going to take you 5 minutes. You're going to feel great. You're going to go home. You're going to tell your kids. You're going to hug them when you walk in the door. You're going to say, guess what I did today? You're going to tell them. They're not going to believe it.
Interesting angle with the kids. Or if you don't have kids and you just want to,
You're going to pick up your cat and be like, guess what I did today?
Or just for yourself, you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to be like, guess what I did today?
Right.
I feel great.
Anyway, thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Happy to have you.
Yes, of course. Very exciting. Will the show become more Dune-fluenced?
I mean, that's up to you and Dune Buggy. I wonder if one day I'll ever watch Dune.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, everybody seems to love it, though.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I hear. Anyway.
Well.
That's it for today about Dune.
Well, with the power that we've given to the patrons to nominate and vote for films, there's your chance of watching Dune just increased exponentially.
Oh my God, that's probably why Paul joined. Because to me, when I think of Paul, Just because we follow each other or I follow him. Does he follow me on Twitter? It doesn't matter. But all I see is Dune.
Yeah.
Dune, 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 Dune. So then, the name Dune Buggy followed.
Right.
And I was like, wow, Paul's like really into Dune.
Hey,
Which
if
is
you're
great.
listening,
If you love something, that's great.
yeah. If you're listening and you're really into, the Human Centipede or Solo or Martyrs, and you've been thinking, I really wish I could get Michelle to watch that movie, this is the path that you must take.
What? That's an awful spin to get people to join.
We also got some emails.
Yes.
The first one, they're replying to our episode about Mulholland Drive, and the subject line is Mulholland Drive old people.
Oh gosh, they were terrifying.
Dear movie friends, often at your lowest point, the potential of what could have been can haunt you. At the beginning of the movie, the old people were happy well-wishers, telling Betty they'll be watching for her on the big screen. At the end of the movie, Diane/Betty hallucinates the old people as grotesque mockeries, sneaking into her house and terrorizing her. They represent the lost dream, and it's what finally drives her to ... It doesn't say ... I put in the ... just as a spoiler alert for Mulholland Drive.
Oh,
And then
good.
it says, your friend, Sean Shank.
Sean Shank. Wow.
P.S.
Oh,
I think Seth should continue to do the half-star reviews as Muppet characters. He does such a great job with them.
I know. It brings me such joy.
P.P.S. I also think Michelle should at least come up with a top 25 favorite movies list. Even I struggled to come up with a top 50, but a top 25 was definitely doable for me.
Wait, this is still Sean Shank?
Mm-hmm.
Creeping in on the PS and the
PS
the
and the
PBS?
PPSs they're spreading.
Watch out, Ben.
The Benfluence.
The Benfluence.
We have the Dunefluence and the Benfluence.
No, I'm working on my list. I think I have 18. I just added one to it. The thing with my lists are, because I remember Alyssa and I did this we did TV shows. Like, to me, they rotate.
Yeah.
Like, depending on the season I'm in,
Well, at the end of this month, we're going to be doing an AMA episode, and it might be a good time to unveil and discuss what you've got so far.
I can do that. And if you want to participate, send us an email. Hey, you can do that. Send us an email asking us any question you would like an answer to.
The Memefluence.
There you go.
Next email is responding to our episode on The Princess Bride. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah. That was fun.
That was the last one.
Inconceivable!
Feels like a month ago. What a classic. Though I understand the people that don't have as much reverence for it when they come to it at a much later age. I have several friends who rank this as their favorite movie. My college roommate went so far as to sign up for magazines using the name Vizzini just so she'd know who sold her out when she got stuff she never signed up for.
Nice. That's great.
Fun fact. Did you realize you released this episode on Robin Wright's birthday?
I saw that afterwards.
I didn't see that. I didn't know.
What? There was a picture of Carrie and Robin together.
Oh,
it was floating around in the space, and I was like, oh man, here we go again. The movie Friends effect.
I know. Isn't it so weird?
I know, our power.
Yeah. We're doing Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Next week, the long-awaited sequel is finally going to have a breakthrough. I can feel it.
Yep, it's coming. They're going to find funding and all that jazz.
The email continues. I adore Mandy Patinkin. I'm seeing him in concert this month, and I'm probably going to cry.
Whoa!
Great. Yeah. You spoke about the scene where he finally gets the man who killed his father. Mandy's own father died of cancer, and when filming this scene, he was channeling that loss, imagining he was addressing the illness that took his father away. If you weren't already moved to tears, which I was, knowing this backstory will certainly do it now. Enjoying your adventures and looking forward to more, Betsy.
Betsy. Always pick Betsy.
That's right. Always bet on Betsy.
That's right. Yeah.
The Bet's fluence.
Bet's fluence.
Thanks, Betsy.
Thank you.
All right, last email says, this is also one of my most watched films. You guys were so close to solving the world's water problems, which, quick update, my sister listens to the show. She texted me basically telling me I'm an idiot for not knowing that most of our drinking water does in fact come from the ocean, and that desalination or desalinization, I don't know, has existed forever.
And I brought that up because of the whole Mimi, the voyage of the Mimi. And
Yes.
I thought that's where I thought of that or learned about it. And it turns out I was right. That was an actual episode in the voyage
Crazy.
of the Mimi.
Crazy. If you went to public school in the 90s and you were made to watch a 12-part series starring Ben Affleck called The Voyage of the Mimi, please reach out to Michelle.
No, so I put a poll out on Twitter and it's at 0% for someone, watching this in grade school. And so I had a group chat going with two of my friends who also experienced this. And we seem like we're the only ones. Like, it's really weird. And I think, if anything, I don't think anybody in the middle of the country would be so focused on this. I feel like this is very
Localized.
East Coast. Yeah. Anyway, please, The Voyage of the Mimi, please.
Yes, let us know. The Mimi fluence.
This makes me want to start a podcast to just cover and understand why we were taught this. Like an investigative podcast.
Call it Finding Mimi. And then for the last episode, you get Ben Affleck.
That's right. Okay. I planned it all out in my head. Yeah.
All right, the email continues. Anyway, So just to clear that up, last episode I claimed that the world's problems would be solved if we could drink ocean water. Turns out we've been drinking it and we're still in just as much trouble as ever. Anyway, the email continues. I'm thinking that Seth might secretly be a Shrek simp. No, that's not true. 5 stars, no notes. And then they say Andre talk with crying emojis. P.S. 88 actor supercut Princess Bride, you're welcome. Which we didn't mention. All the actors who recreated the Princess Bride scene by scene during the pandemic.
What?
During the pandemic, a bunch of actors would do scene by scene, like just one at a time, scenes from The Princess Bride, and then someone cut them all together. So you have like Jack Black as Wesley. It's really great. It's really
what? We should have covered
I'll
that.
send you the link. I'll send it to you. If you want to cover it, we can do it.
I want to do that.
Sure.
Oh, man. That sounds fun.
PSS, I've always found the Christopher Guest role, to be funny. PSSS, this might be my favorite Billy Crystal role, which is wowie zowie. That's really...
Wow, that's a hot take.
PSSSS, this is on a very short list of films where I love so many of the characters. And that's from Ben.
Ben. I just think that this movie is very special to your household. The Var guys love this movie.
No, Betsy too.
Right. But now we have you and Ben. So if I hear from another Vargas, it's confirmed.
Oh my gosh. So before we get into talking about the movie, we're going to predict each other's ratings. And I am lost. I'm as lost. That's Michelle's pen. And I am like as lost as a little shrunk kid in the backyard on this rating. I'm not going to lie. So this is a total stab in the dark.
Let me click it off.
Do you feel confident in your prediction?
No, not at all. Nope.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, cool.
I'm going to be honest with you. I went with what I'm rating it.
Okay.
I was like, this is a good starting point.
Well, you know what? Yeah, who knows? Maybe. Normally, when one of us hasn't seen the film for the first time, we'll record our pre-watch thoughts, but we have both seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So, Michelle, this was your pick for Adventure Month. Can you kind of share with us maybe why?
Sure. So, I was going through a bunch of movies, a list of adventure movies. As we talked about in the beginning of the month, like, what is an adventure movie?
Yeah.
Right. And I even said that to you in a lot of discussions this month. I'm like, I don't know what to choose. And I had a lot of different ideas and a lot of different avenues. And then Honey, I Shrunk the Kids came up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I loved this movie as a kid. And these kids do go on an adventure. And I think it would be really fun to revisit. So selfishly, I probably should have done another movie for our
You
to
wanted to
like
watch this one?
I wanted, yeah, this was a selfish pick. There was
Yeah.
another choice that probably would have been better for a film podcast, movie podcast. However, watching this movie as a kid, so fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all can agree. Watching this movie as an adult, very stressful.
Yes.
I was so stressed out. I was like hiding behind my sweater and blankets. Like I had my fists were clenched. My teeth were clenched. I cried. I was very stressed out. My heart was racing. Totally different experience watching as an adult. And I had no idea this was coming. I don't know if I would have chosen this if I knew this was coming.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That extreme, huh?
Yeah. I was so surprised by it. I couldn't believe it.
When I rewatched this maybe a year or two ago, what really struck me that I did not pick up on at all were all of the marital stresses and problems. And not just like marital, but also like parental to kids. Like when Wayne is like, all right, you guys got to pick up the house. I got to go. And, the daughter is like making breakfast for him. And everything's just so like sloppy and messy and like not really handled and taken care of. It was very stressful to me. And I knew when you were watching, and I said to you, I was like, I don't want to say something until you're done, because I don't know if it's like spoilery. And then once you said that you finished, I was like, did you get vibes that they were like getting divorced or something,
Right. Yeah. I mean, as a kid, Rick Moranis was so beloved. He's still beloved. Like, I love Rick Moranis. But like Wayne as a husband and a partner in life would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
He's so focused on his invention, and I understand that, and his career and his job, but like letting the household go, letting Diane's feelings go. The house is a mess. Like Diane has to like take a step back, and she's doing real estate, and she's still the supportive wife. Definitely didn't, take any of that into consideration as a kid. You're just like, yeah, go Wayne, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're like wacky guy.
Right,
like,
zany.
This is wacky.
Look at these inventions, right? And Rick Moranis, we love him. It's nothing against Rick. I'm really judging Wayne as the character.
Right.
Yeah.
Szalinski. Yeah. But no, then you grow up and you're like, oh, something is like, something's like off here.
Dark. It's dark.
Yeah. It's not super comfortable.
No, this felt like a horror movie to me.
And I want to talk about that, but maybe we'll wait a little. I don't know. Do you want to talk about that part now, or you want to talk about some other stuff first?
That's up to you. If you want to end with that, of like your conclusion of how you came to that. Because I texted you and I was like, this is more like a horror movie to me.
Yeah. Well, so I think that there's a reason it feels that way. Stuart Gordon and Brian Yuzna, they had done horror movies and like pretty intense stuff. Like Stuart Gordon is definitely most known for Reanimator.
Okay.
And I watched Reanimator for the first time a few years back, and I kind of put it off because I was like, this is going to be cheesy or corny. I was just like not super interested. And a lot of the effects still really hold up, and it's intense, like really, really intense horror. So they were talking, and Brian was telling him a story about how his kids were invited to go see a screening of like another director friend's movie. And like they invited all the kids and they all went to see it. So his kids came home and they were like, how come we never get to go see your movies, basically? And at the time, Stuart Gordon had 2 or 3 girls. And they were like, yeah, we should make like a kids movie. We should try to make a movie that like our kids can see. So they were apparently sitting in the backyard and just started talking about kids in the backyard. And that's where they came up with the idea of like, hey, what if you were shrunk down and you had to like make it back to your house?
Wow.
So they bring it to Disney. They called it Teeny Weenies.
I did see that. Teeny Weenies. That was like one of the names that was floating around. Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, so they call it Teeny Weenies. They bring it to Disney. And we've talked before about like Disney's 80s slump and all the troubles that they had and that they were in. And they liked the idea, but like they reworked it like crazy. And they kept doing rewrites and rewrites and rewrites and, you know, notes on every tiny little thing. And they took the line, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and they're like, that's going to be the title, which Stuart Gordon and Yuzna like really did not like. They're like, no, that's dumb. I think their backup name was Itsy Bitsies.
Okay, like Teeny Weeny and Itsy Bitsy, it's a totally different feeling of a movie. This sounds like, and I get we're making a kids movie, but it sounds like children's book, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting though how like even through all of the studio rewrites and meddling and changing and rearranging, the end product is still pretty scary.
Yeah.
And like intense. And like at one point you think Amy is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have a girl drown in this.
Yeah. That's right. CPR is done on her.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And a kid knows how to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Which is great. But like again, as a kid, I was always like very captivated of like, oh my God, I love the idea of small things and then things so much bigger than me. Like my favorite Mario board is in Super Mario Brothers 3. I think it's World 4 when everything is so big and you're tiny. Yeah. That's my favorite thing. And so like the idea of it is so cool. And I was very, very captivated by that as a child. And then, you know, I gotta tie in the theme park of it all.
Exactly.
In Disney World, they had Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movie set adventure where it was like a playground. So you could like slide down the blades of grass and see Anty. Like that was so much fun. And then, you know, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, the 3D short, which I watched that and we should link that. I don't know if you got to watch it.
I did, yes.
As a kid, I remember it having so much fun. As an adult, sitting on a couch and it's horror quality without 3D glasses, I was stressed out.
I wasn't stressed out, but I was like, okay, not being in the audience and like hearing laughs around me, this is such a different experience.
Maybe because I've experienced it.
Because they don't film those things like a movie. They film it with like space for laughs, space for, you know, like there's just something very different about a theme park film.
Short. Yeah.
I still thought it was funny and it was interesting, but like you don't hear anything from the audience until the mouse goes through the audience. And then you just hear everybody start screaming at the top.
Because they turn the lights off and you feel things rub against your legs. You freak out. And then when Court comes out and sneezes, you get wet. I mean, and then when Diane faints, because this is the thing, Diane faints every time she finds out someone has blown up or shrunk.
Yes.
I mean, they have this 3D hand that comes out into the audience and slaps on you. Anyway, if you experience this as a kid, you know what I'm talking about. I was stressed out again. It's like, wow.
They really slap you with a hand?
They don't, but like the 3D, because you're wearing 3D glasses, you feel like the hand is going to hit you.
Okay, I got it.
Because her hand goes out into the audience.
I thought a little hand like popped out of the seat in front of you and slaps you or something.
No, but because you're small and she's large, you know, her size, because the audience has been shrunk. Anyway.
Yeah.
Fond memories as a kid, as an adult looking back, I'm like, oh man, this is stressful.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, we have Aunt die.
Oh my, I can't, no. I can't even. I can't. Are we going there?
I mean, we're going to have to, but
we're going to talk about Anty.
You mentioned that Diane faints in every movie.
Mm-hmm.
So in preparation for this, I normally watch the movie at least like 2 to 3 times. And this time I did something different where I just watched all 3 of the Honey, I guess I'll just call them the Honey movie, the Honey trilogy.
The Honeys.
Yeah. I watched all 3. I watched the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience video that you sent me. And yeah, there's some interesting through lines throughout the 3 movies. Each one starts with a mailbox gag that get like increasingly more complicated, I suppose.
Yeah.
The third one, did you rewatch the third one?
Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves?
Yeah.
Yes, because Aunt has never seen it.
What did he think?
So I was like, Aunt, I really want us to watch this. And I was like, and it was a straight to home video movie. And he's like, you are really selling it. That is the sure way to sell a movie is to say it went straight to video.
Right.
He thought it was okay, but like what a stark difference.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the middle one. I've seen the middle one where they blow up the baby.
Yeah.
And Aunt has seen that one. I didn't have time. And I told you, I was like, I'm kind of worried to watch the other 2 because what if I'm stressed out? But that one I wasn't so stressed. We Shrunk Ourselves.
Yeah, there's a huge difference in Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. It's just not as good. It's like really riding on, okay, do people like Rick Moranis and this character of Wayne?
Right.
And that's about it, man. It sucks because the other ones have great practical effects where 3 switches out a lot of that for CGI stuff.
Yeah.
Like the cockroaches. And,
yeah.
Ooh, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
2 shocked me because I had kind of a negative memory of 2 growing up. We had it on VHS. We watched it a few times. And I just remember being like, I am so bored watching this. But rewatching it, the practical effects in 2 are incredible. And the only thing that I can think is that they must have made a set that was to scale for the baby, the toddler, that was identical to the one that the adults were walking around in. Because the baby will interact with items like in the room. And it's like, all right, this is not a skilled CGI green screen actor here. This is like a toddler.
Yeah.
How did they do? Like, there's some stuff that genuinely I was like, I have no idea how they did that.
Did you enjoy that one more than this one?
No, but I enjoyed it way more than my memory had it in my mind. Yeah. And I will say, like, the second one, it's a little too long once we get to the baby, like, terrorizing downtown Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, let's wrap this up.
Right.
kind of thing. But everything kind of before that is pretty good. Like maybe just as good as the first one, but wow, it's such an unfortunate name. Like you would never call a kids movie Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
No.
But what were their other options? Like what else could you call that?
Yeah, right.
Honey, I
enlarged our toddler.
Honey, I Enlarged the Toddler is really funny, actually. I biggened.
I biggened?
I maximized.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they went with the catchy
the
one.
Size. Yeah, you have to do short and sweet.
It's a little bit more polished. This one is not polished really at all. I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
Like the set is nice. I mean, like they live in like a nicer house near Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a slick van that's got all kinds of satellite dishes and solar panels on. Like there's just like more production value, I suppose, where like it's stuff that's meant to exist in the real world, where a lot of the production of this one is like giant blades of grass.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah. This one just feels more. I mean, it looks great. I like all the practical stuff in this first one, but
yeah,
it doesn't look as slick, I suppose, as the second.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to ask you, but I don't want to ruin the whole episode.
Okay.
What part made you cry?
Andy.
Well, let's come around to that then.
Yeah. I want to get this out of the way before we get into talking more about the movie, but
Sure.
I have to bring up Cork.
Sure.
And I feel like Jack Russell Terriers were just having a moment of the late 80s and early 90s because you had Cork, you had Wishbone, you had Eddie from Frasier on Frasier. It was like the dog you saw everywhere. And I didn't realize that until I was watching. I was like, oh my gosh, there was a time when I was like obsessed with Jack Russell Terriers. And I think it's because it's like everything that I was watching
Right.
had that dog in it.
Maybe it was the same dog.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, as we found out with Jimmy the Raven, who did, 500 acting credits, maybe there was like a set of Jack Russell Terrier twin wonder dogs roaming around Hollywood. And they're like, we need a dog that can run through the grass and then put its nose on the table. And someone was like, I got the perfect dog for you.
Yeah, except like Wishbone was smooth coat, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right.
More smooth coat. Did you watch Wishbone? Wishbone was
Oh
great.
my god, I love
Yeah.
Wishbone.
Yeah, right?
I'll just be
Wishbone's
walking
great.
around the house, just picking stuff up or whatever, make myself an egg salad sandwich, and I'll just say to myself, "Come on, Wishbone."
You should have your kids watch it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's great.
Wishbone is good.
Learned a
Wishbone
lot
is
about
good.
the classics from Wishbone.
Yeah. But
Or did I? Like this false sense of education that we received from public broadcasting.
hey, PBS is great.
Where someone will be like, oh, yeah, Robinson Crusoe. And I'm like, yeah, of course I know Robinson Crusoe. And then I turn to myself and I'm like, oh my God, do I know Robinson Crusoe or did I just watch an episode of Wishbone? And when I was 9 and said to myself, I got it, Wishbone. I know.
Stored Wishbone.
Hey, we get a cartoon opening to this movie.
Yeah.
That's
What'd you
fun,
think?
right? It's good. Apparently, this was like pretty innovative. Like it was using computer animation. I heard some of the people went on from this to work on like Toy Story. Apparently, Gwen Stefani's brother was an animator who worked on the opening sequence of this.
That's random. Okay.
I think it was mostly just like nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's not like every movie used to start this way, but occasionally, you'd get a little cartoon opening. This movie also opened literally in theaters with a cartoon opener, Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, imagine seeing both of these.
I know.
Like, I think my head would pop off. Like, it would pop off and roll away, and I would just be like a toothpick or something.
I wish that studios would do more little shorts to open their movies. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know about you, but for me growing up, one cool thing about going to see like a Pixar movie is you knew there would be a little short at the beginning.
That's what you looked forward to.
Yeah. And sometimes it was like, man, I really liked that short maybe more than I liked that movie.
Yep. Agreed.
And if the short was like a bummer, you're like, oh man, they wasted their Pixar short on this piece of crap.
Yeah. Brought up lots of conversation.
Yeah, man. So I don't know. I kind of wish that they would go back to doing that. The stuff that they put before movies now is just dreadful, horrible.
It's awful, and it goes on forever.
Yeah. So Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne Szalinski. Do you think there should have been more repercussions for what he did?
Well, I mean, not to jump to the end, but I just don't understand when the parents are reunited with the kids, like, why aren't we crying? Like, they don't, like, they're stressed out when the kids are shrunk and we have Diane and Wayne floating above the grass, which is like, that's like burned into my memory.
Yeah.
It's
I
such
love
a
that.
great
I
love
that's
that
funny.
too. I love that. And I love that they're working together, but I just feel like there wasn't enough emotion and anger towards the fact that this happened.
Right.
I don't know. I wanted more from the parents. I mean, I guess, is it Russ? Big Russ?
Big Russ.
AK, who's doing Jim Carrey like the whole movie. It's so weird.
But
it is so weird.
Jim Carrey.
Right, but pre-Jim Carrey. But
yeah, you got to give it to him.
I will give it to him.
Yeah.
He does step up, and he's such the choices he makes and that character's so weird. We'll go to him. But
I want to go. Yeah, we're going to talk about Big Russ.
We have to go to him. But and his dynamic with his wife.
Yeah.
I just wanted more emotion. I felt like the kids acted so well in this movie. They were like the stars, and even again putting Rick Moranis on the pedestal. I don't know, maybe that's just Wayne, and Wayne doesn't process emotion like that.
Sure. It's odd. It's really odd. I mean,
like, it's weird.
We're not calling the cops to be like, I shrunk my kids.
Well, you wouldn't know. You can't tell the cops you shrunk the kids.
You have to go to jail. I'm sorry. Like, you have to go to jail.
It's like child abuse a little bit, right?
It might be the most insane case of child abuse that has ever been committed to film. You shrunk your kids. They're fighting for their lives against a scorpion.
I know, and now they're all trauma bonded. These four are now trauma bonded.
Oh my God. And I'm not trying to like cancel this movie. I'm not trying
no.
I'm not trying to be like, from a modern lens. No, from the lens of this movie, you shrunk your neighbor's children.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's like, there's the sci-fi that comes into it. So it's kind of fun. Like, oh, wow, we experienced this. Yeah. And he does get banned. We do learn as the movies go on that he gets banned from using this machine.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't stop him, but...
He gets a slap on the wrist, but he should be doing like 20 to life. Human experimentation.
Yeah, it's like testing on people, right?
Right. I mean, he doesn't mean to do it, but he doesn't like set up the safeguards so that it can't happen. And like that's... I actually think... people hate sequels, people hate reboot. I think that this idea should be done again and again and again and again. It's so much fun. But I thought to myself, it would be so hard to write reasons why this keeps happening.
Right.
And like when you get to the second movie, it kind of makes sense how the kid gets in the way of the laser. Like it's a totally different environment. It's a totally different reason. By the time we get to the third movie, they get shrunk because Wayne is trying to hide his tiki idol.
I can't. This is like a whole other sidebar conversation.
It is.
Like,
and this spoilers for like the whole series. But
this is so ridiculous.
So frustrating.
Beyond this giant tiki statue is in their living room, and he traded like prize money. He got a grant. He got a
genius grant,
but instead he wanted this tiki idol.
Yeah,
because he's like, it's nuts. It's
moments
nuts.
Before we first meet Tiki Man, Wayne is talking to his son about science over baseball. And how he, science is great. Science is great. And then he goes and talks to this idol and how it brings him good luck. And I'm like, wait a second. Wait a minute. Wayne is suddenly a man of superstition and faith. Yeah. And like, he's going to break the law so that he can shrink the tiki idol. Oh, whatever. That's movie 3.
That's movie 3. Right. Right.
But anyway, yeah. Wayne... He gets away with murder.
Like it's just, I don't want to take away that I do love Wayne.
Yeah, we love him.
Because I loved him as a kid, but it's so different. And I don't mean to bring Back to the Future into this, but as a kid, I loved Doc Brown. And as an adult, I love Doc Brown. And he's so zany. And like I go into it the same like affection for him. And then this time around, I'm like, oh my God, Wayne, like maybe because Doc Brown is just like a single man by himself. I mean, and he's so out there. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And maybe because I'm an adult, I don't have children, but it's so different. Wayne is just, it's just different.
I think you need to change how this happens. And the intention behind the shrinking needs to be more than just like, oh, a baseball flew through a window and accidentally something, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like it finally got to work. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
like-
It took a baseball to go through to hit a certain. Yeah.
You need to have a situation where the kids are like purposefully messing with it or like trying to shrink something, and then they get themselves shrunk, because without that, it's all just like negligence on his part. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we learn at the top of the movie that Diane, what I gathered was she spent the night elsewhere, just one night.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So in one night / day, the house is in disarray because he's like, we got to clean this up before Diane gets home.
Yeah.
Was he doing that? He's noticing like, I would like to clean this up before your mom gets home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah. I would like to point out, Wayne is not a doctor. Wayne is an inventor.
Yes.
So he's not like a scientist. He's science-minded, but he's not like an accredited doctor, researcher working. He is an inventor. And throughout all 3 films, you see all these like ridiculous, like just nonsensical experiments that he's like running on his own house. And yeah. So we love him. We love him. We love you, Wayne, and we love you, Rick Moranis. But my goodness, the reality of being with this person would be...
It would be real frustrating.
Yeah. So Big Russ... Big Russ is simultaneously so funny and so annoying.
I agree.
Like,
that's a perfect way to put it.
So annoying throughout this whole movie.
What annoyed you the most about him?
Well, I mean, not letting up about the football thing.
Yeah.
Was crazy.
To his
and
two
then
sons.
We're going camping, but we're packing all this like microwavable foods. We're introduced to Big Russ because Wayne is making noise. Big Russ is freaking out. Now, it's not like 5 a.m. Like all the Szalinskis are awake. Everyone in the neighborhood is awake. Big Russ is sleeping in. And Big Russ says, we've got a 4-hour drive ahead of us.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I wrote that in caps in my notes. Yeah. And Ant looks at me. He's like, a 4-hour drive?
Driving around Long Island. If you're doing, 3 different events with friends for the day, you're going to be driving more than 4 hours. You know what I mean? Go out east at apple picking time.
Right.
You're going to...
Oh, forget it. Forget it. This is the most ridiculous line of the movie.
It's very silly. It's very, especially coming from Big Russ, who's supposed to be like, I'm tough and I was the captain of the football team. We're going fishing and no. But anyway, whatever. I don't want to get stuck on the 4-hour drive thing, but it's very silly. Just like his mix of like being prepared, but also being incredibly not prepared. Like they're not packed. They're not ready.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's like a last minute thing to load the camper. I guess you can't. I don't know. The microwavable meats. It was so weird.
Yeah, it was.
Aren't you catching fish?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I also have never been camping, so I can't really talk. But
yeah, same.
But yeah, he's like, the exasperated straight man to Wayne's crazy. Right. I will say, I absolutely love his wife,
May.
I love May. She might be my favorite character in this movie.
Wow.
She's definitely my favorite of the adults. I will say that.
I agree. I love May.
Diane is cool too, and she brings some grounded stress, to the reality of her life and whatever. But I thought May was great.
May was great. They're supposed to go camping with their friends, this couple. The couple that shows up.
Just one scene.
They stole it though.
Scene stealers.
I need to know more about these two.
Mm-hmm.
The wife is holding a dog. She has a very high pitched voice.
Yeah, Victoria Jackson.
And then the friend who
knock off George Costanza.
Yeah, Thank you, Seth. But Russ tells them they can't go because of plumbing issues. May has plumbing issues.
Yeah, the fish hand. Yeah. Plumbing
Which
issues.
I think me and you could we can make like a little secret handshake if you'd like.
Oh, next live show, we got to run across the stage doing the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids fish handshake thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But is he like telling essentially that May has diarrhea?
I took it as a period.
Okay, or that, like some bodily function.
Yeah, because in the 80s, we're still afraid of women.
Right. Plumbing.
And what their bodies do. So it's like, oh, no, we can't go camping. It would be catastrophic.
Plumbing.
Yeah, plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy I called Evil George Costanza, his name is Mark L. Taylor. He was also in a movie that you know and love called Homeward Bound.
This movie has come up way too much in the past 24 hours for me, so we're going to have to cut it. That's my quota. We're talking about Homeward Bound.
You might have like an adverse, like deep-rooted reaction just to seeing him. Because like somewhere in your mind, alarms are going off. Your Homeward Bound alarms are like, no.
That's it.
Before we get on to the kids, who are, for all intents and purposes, the stars of the movie.
Yeah.
I was so annoyed and frustrated with how the Szalinskis go about like finding the kids, because Wayne finds his couch and you have to like look at it with a microscope, right?
Yep.
Because he brings out the microscope and he says to Big Russ, he's like, this is a microscope. And Big Russ says, I know, which I thought was pretty funny. So if a couch you need to see with a microscope, the kids are smaller than a couch, right? He at one point is like going through the backyard on like stilts.
I know, this drove me crazy.
How is that better, Wayne? They're not the size of marbles.
Right. Well, I think then we have to adjust and we make the system of him floating. Right.
Because and they're convinced that they're in the grass, but it's like, why would they be in the grass? And you might need to help my memory here. And if we both can't remember, I might just have to cut this out. But he puts them in a trash bag.
Yep.
And then takes them outside.
Yep.
How do they get across the yard?
They cut themselves out of the garbage bag.
Yeah.
And they make their way into the yard. And so from everything they go through.
So the trash bag, the trash cans are like at the end of the backyard?
Yeah, I thought this was strange. It's like there's a
Who does
gate.
That?
Yeah, I don't know. Who gets their garbage picked up at the back side of their house?
Why wouldn't it be by your back porch? Your stoned back porch?
Or why wouldn't it be in the front of the house where there's a garbage truck that comes on your street?
Yeah, but I feel like most of the time you keep your garbage next to your house and then you bring it up to the curb.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm thinking of like actual garbage pickup day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's where the garbage gets picked up because they're putting their garbage at the end of the backyard and it seems to be fenced off because there's like 2 bags that are in that section.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah, that was weird. But I guess we had to do that to have this movie because the kids have to travel across the grass, right?
Right.
Oh, let's put the garbage, doesn't make sense, at the end of the backyard. Right. Solved.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Yeah. Or you just have them go through the house, which would be just as interesting. You can still have an ant. You can't have a scorpion, but, you get a little spider in there.
Sure. Termites, roaches.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the kids.
Who do you want to start with?
I guess the Szalinski kids.
You want to start with Amy since she's the oldest?
Yeah, I like Amy.
I like Amy too.
I like her actress. I like Amy in the movie. I think she's funny. Yeah. She's smart.
Responsible.
None of these kids are freaking out enough, if you ask me.
Really? I think they were freaking out. You don't think they were freaking out?
I think they're freaking out as things are happening, but just like, oh my God, we're shrunk. Kids need to be like peeing their pants. Like the Szalinskis they have a frame of reference because they know their dad's working on the shrink ray. But we
Yeah.
know that the kids from next door, they have like no real interaction with the Szalinski kids
Which I
beyond just
found
like, hey,
strange.
nerd. I
Yeah,
found that
like,
strange too.
they grew up next door to each other. I mean, there is even a conversation where Russ and Amy have this conversation of just like, how come you've never come over before?
Right.
I mean, maybe the parents have kept them apart. Like, oh, don't mess with the
Maybe.
Slinskys. They're weird.
Right. Maybe.
Plus,
Maybe there's
like, what are,
some racism going on there.
I mean, maybe. Or maybe
Big
they're
Russ
just
is
like,
like, don't talk to the Polish family next door.
oh, okay. Well, we could tie that in if you'd like. Sure. And then also, Ron and Nick don't really have anything in common.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and their ages are different. Like Ron seems
yeah.
to be between Amy and Russ and Nick.
Yeah.
Like Nick's definitely the youngest kid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think on your question of like that, or the statement of these kids should be reacting more. I'm trying to think of like, if I was a kid, was I more adventurous? Was I didn't think about like death. I didn't think about like what could happen, right? Your frame of reference is different when you're a kid.
Well, I said to myself, and I said to you after watching this, I was like, this feels like a Michelle, not just movie, but like fantasy.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, I've always been obsessed with being small and things being giant.
Well, you and your husband at one point were making videos.
Yeah, we're
if
big,
I may
you're
share
small.
with the audience.
You may share, Seth. Should I post those videos? I don't know where they are.
So what was the name of the series?
Anyway, it was called "We're Big, You're Small,"
Yeah.
and I set up our green screen. We pretended we were giants, and we had tiny things. So we had like a tiny notepad. We were like planning a party, and we were attending a party, and we're like, small cups, like
Right.
small hats. Yeah,
Right.
I love tiny things.
Yes.
However, when watching this, I was like, oh my God, imagine being shrunk down.
Yeah.
This is insane. And I have to say, I have looked at the bugs in my house differently. I have saved them. There's a couple, it's ant season. So like we just have ants and I'm like, and I'm like looking at them. I'm like, oh my, can you imagine writing you?
Right.
So I have a whole new, this movie sent me. This is a whirlwind, I swear. It's done a lot to me.
Honey, I Shrunk the Michelle.
That's right. Yeah.
As I'm watching it and they're like riding on the leaves and like looking at the grass and like eating big gobs of whatever cream. I'm just like,
oatmeal cream.
I feel like if Michelle could pay to be shrunk down and like walk through, 10 feet of backyard, this would be like her favorite thing to do.
I used to think that, but I don't know about that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was really stressed out, like really stressed
as you should be, and as these kids should be. Like, you need, and I know that this is crazy, but like, I need someone to pee their pants. Like, I just need somebody to like,
we have someone who almost drowns
down and like curl up into a ball and be like, I'm minuscule, I'm tiny,
Don't we get a scene where Nick starts crying? Like, Nick does cry and Amy consoles him.
Yeah, and Ron is freaking out, but Ron's freaking out is like comedic. It's like, I'm going to sue your family.
Right.
Like, everyone in the movie just kind of feels too on the outside of what's really happening, I guess, to me. But this is a kid's movie. Movie. And I swear, I'm not going to try to turn this into a non-kids movie, because it's a kids movie. It's a family movie. I was excited to talk about this because I reviewed the movies that we've done so far. And yes, we've done Shrek, Home Alone. We did Newsies, which is kind of a gray area, as Disney found. But we really haven't done a lot of like bread and butter 90s family movies, which for me was like close to the introduction of movies for me.
I mean, same.
Yeah.
Same. So, I mean, that's why I'm always trying to put in the kids' movies as we've noticed, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Right. But even that's
I know that
we
it's
talked
more
about, is that a
adultish,
kid's
yeah.
movie?
Right.
We even talked about with Shrek, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's blurring the lines. Home Alone is definitely, that's a family movie. That's a kid's movie, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I think about, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And then I think about Little Giants, which is also Rick Moranis. And like The Big Green. Did you ever see that movie?
I haven't, but we've talked about it. I do want to
Yeah.
watch. We need to do like
Soccer
a
team
kids
and-
sports month.
Sure.
So it would be like
yeah.
Little Giants, Big Green, Sandlot, which I've never seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there was also like The Indian in the Cupboard, which was
Oh my God, I love that movie.
very different, more contemplative and like sad, and just like a different flavor of movie for kids. There was Searching for Bobby Fischer, which was about a kid who's learning chess. There was.
Do you remember Jack? Do you remember Simon Birch?
Simon Birch, Jack. Yeah, there was this whole branch of like kid family movies where it was kind of designed to like make the kids cry and make the adults cry, and like you have this experience as a family of like, oh, I'm feeling emotions, not just like excitement and rah rah and laughing.
Right.
And so
what was
a lot of those things were introducing like major themes of what films can do. And so
what was the movie? I'm drawing a blank with Mimi Siku and Tim Allen. His son was named Mimi Siku. He's like grew up in the jungle.
Jungle to Jungle.
Yes.
Yes.
How could I forget Jungle to Jungle? I literally just said that's another one in there that
Jungle to Jungle. That was based on a French movie, actually, remake.
Oh.
But anyway, so I know I keep complaining that no one's peeing their pants. But
go back to urine.
There's cool stuff to be doing here. I love the rain, where we get the quick animation of rain dropping.
You mean the sprinkler?
Well, right.
But on that though, the sound effects. How did they decide what that would sound like? Like the impact of one droplet coming from a sprinkler. How did they come up with that?
Well, it's shot like a war scene.
Right.
Yeah. So they're animating raindrops coming in quick, but then as the kids are running, they're shooting off these like water cannon things, but the water is so like thick and like discolored. It's more than just like a psh, psh, psh. It's so freaking cool. Like
and scary.
Yeah, it's very scary, but it's like, man, that is really great. I love the scorpion. The scorpion is disgusting, but I love the scorpion.
Where do they live? Because scorpions are regional.
Scorpions are regional. That's true. This was filmed in Mexico.
Right.
But I'm sure the Zalinskis are not meant to be living in Mexico.
So they'd have to be Southwest, California.
Yeah, in the second one, they're living in Las Vegas.
Okay. So maybe
but that's because they live near the lab that he gets hired to work for after this. So yeah, California, Southwest, somewhere. There's crazy animals out in the Southwest. So.
Oh yeah, but like the scorpion was so scary, and like the ant. Are we going to talk about Anty yet?
Yeah, we can talk about Anty.
They see this ant, and they're like, "Oh, it's a baby. It's a baby ant."
Right.
And they realize he just wants his cookie, and so they build like I guess they grabbed a stick, and so then they can just like, show the cookie on the end of it to make him walk, kind of train him.
Yeah.
And then they form a bond with this ant.
Of course.
And then the ant tries to like defend his newfound family against a scorpion that shows up.
Yeah.
And dies.
He's stabbed.
Anty dies.
Yeah.
I was bawling.
Graphically stabbed and filled with venom.
It's crazy. It's nuts.
Do you think, and I don't want to put thoughts into your head, but do you think that this has anything to do with the fact that you call your husband Ant?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No. I mean, we always make jokes of like, oh, we have a lot of ants in the house, and Ant will be like, we make that. But not at all. It's the fact, like, this ant
Because like
formed a
ant is also
bond.
bigger than you, you know?
Yeah, no, I didn't think about it like that.
Okay.
No, I think it's an animal and it's
Okay.
dying.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like it also like the way the ant we see up close like gave me like the heebie-jeebies.
It's disgusting. Yeah.
It's
Anty is
so like
disgusting.
it makes me so uncomfortable, but then I'm like, "Oh my god, this sweet animal." Oh my god.
One of the studio notes was they wanted the ant to not look like an ant. They wanted it, what did they say? They said they wanted it to look like something mixed with ET.
Oh, interesting.
And Stuart Gordon was like, yeah, and ET was terrifying. Like, what are you talking about? So they brought them down to show like the ant that they had built. And they
Yeah.
showed it like nuzzling with somebody and like moving around. And they're like, okay, yes, this will work.
That's
Because
yeah.
at first it has to appear scary,
Of
much like
course.
ET, you know.
Yes.
And then once you spend time with it, you're like, oh, okay, this is actually, you are still disgusting looking, but I've
Right.
now come to love you.
Yeah, because you're really sweet.
Yeah. And then, yeah, the scorpion. The Zelenskis, it's no wonder that they haven't mowed their lawn because they got Legos back there. There's a whole oatmeal cream pie.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yep.
a whole one sitting there.
Yep.
There's, what else is in the backyard? There was another object that they found.
Yeah.
Oh, don't they come across like a little doll or something?
I don't actually remember. Like in
remember.
the playground, there was like a giant Play-Doh canister, but that wasn't in the backyard. I mean, yeah, the ant, the scorpion. In the beginning, we have the bumblebee.
Oh, yes, riding the bees.
Well, what I was angry because we have Wayne like trying to smack the bee with the bat, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Let's save the bees. Why are we doing? We should not. It's a bumblebee. It's a bumblebee.
Right. Oh, it's a bumblebee, right.
So let's not do that.
Yeah.
I was really angry at that.
Yeah. As someone who's allergic to bees, my advice to everyone is leave them alone. Literally leave them alone until it lands on you. And if it lands on you, guess what? Just move your arm and walk in the other direction. It will leave you alone.
Yeah. But terrifying to ride one.
But he needs to pick up the bat to piece together because that's how Wayne's brain works.
Right.
Is he needs to like, it needs to be coming from like outside and he needs to piece it together to understand. So I get it. I get it for that.
How do you feel about the dynamic between the kids? Because obviously it starts off rough, but then, we have Russ who's like more on the sensitive side and he's sweet. And then him and Amy kind of form this like little flirtatious relationship.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought it was good. I liked that the story with Russ is that he's too small for football and the actor is actually short like that, When it came time to sleep in the Lego, I was like, the siblings would just sleep together. Like it wouldn't even be a question. You're telling me Ron and Nick are just like, all right,
okay with it?
We want top bunk. Like,
yeah, by that point, they're like, okay, we can stand each other. Right.
Yeah, no way. You'd be doing siblings with siblings. I want to talk about Ron because I want Ron's hat so bad.
You mean with the brim flipped up?
The red flipped up, ridiculous, maybe fishing hat-esque. I don't know. It's great. I love that hat so much.
We got to get it for you. That could be the hat you wear on our live show. You were green beanie hat guy last time.
Yeah, now I'm Russ. Now I'm Ron, red hat guy. What if we made our live show like Honey, I Shrunk the Audience?
I mean, I would love that. I don't know how we could do that. I guess we'll build like one big prop.
Right.
And so then you can feel small.
Right.
Yeah.
So because, we need excitement and peril, they get sucked up into the lawnmower, which is kind of like, okay, I don't necessarily need it, but it's fine. And then they get on the dog, go inside the house, and now we get the real exciting scene.
The Cheerios?
The Cheerios.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like iconic.
It's disgusting. Like being surrounded by milk is like my nightmare.
Yet you like to drink it.
Well, of course. I'm not surrounded by it. Anyway, Wayne is eating cereal so fast. Except for when he goes to take the Nick bite and then he kind of slows down.
Well, thank goodness.
I know. But like, again, like they're so convinced that they're in the yard somewhere that they're just walking around their house, slamming stuff down.
Yeah, I know. That was strange, huh? I mean, and the fact that Wayne examined all the garbage bags and found the slit, right? Like, what if that could have been an animal, ripped that open?
Yeah.
Or like he's just assuming, like, these are all hypotheses of just been like, okay, this is where the bag slit. That means they escaped and they're still in the yard.
And it's like, I need to go fix the machine. No. You can do that later. Find the kid.
How are they Well, that's what annoyed me the most was the next morning. Like they slept. You're eating.
Slept,
Why aren't you more stressed out? Like I would, if I was Diane, I would just be like, I can't eat. I can't sleep. Like
what are you kidding? Yes.
Like, and I think in between that in the evening, they talk about how like, they kind of like reconcile a little bit. And I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, I get it, right? Now is not the time. It's just like, how can you guys even consider going inside? I would be like, I'd be insane. I would be insane.
If the thought of your kids being missing is it's the worst. It's the worst. You know, your kids are hurt. Okay, you understand that. But not knowing, like, no way. There's no way. Even if your kids were just missing because they rode their bikes off or they went to a friend's house, you would be up wandering the streets. You'd be searching. Your kids are shrunk and you're inside the house sleeping.
Right. Eating cereal. Yeah. And the Thompsons, they do call the cops. So they try to take action, I guess. And then when the police go to talk to the Szalinskis, they just kind of like brushed off and shut the door in their face. What are the police going to do though?
I would start at the patio and I would pick every single blade of grass one at a time.
Also, I felt like their execution was poor because they just kept circling the same area. Yeah. Like you guys, even though the kids were in the middle, but like no one was searching the perimeter. Yeah. No, like they just kept going around the same surface area.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Everyone is outside of the reality of what's happening. But anyway, so we get the milk, we get the thing, we get the dog, Quark.
Yeah.
Good on you, Quark. The only one who listens.
Seriously, he's the only one who's stressed out. The dog is actually giving the best performance. He's stressed out by the cat, Bully.
Yes.
He understands.
Dude, the sound effects for the cat and dog showdown, I don't know if you took note.
Oh, yeah.
It was so ridiculous. Yeah.
It's cartoon.
Like the cat's just sitting there and then you hear,
yeah.
It's like, he didn't say that.
No. The cat didn't audibly say that. Yeah, no. But the dog is the only one doing the best acting.
Yeah. I do want to quickly, before we get to the end, I want to mention the score, which is both really good, but I think I am now going to use this as an example of the power that a score has to change a movie.
Like because the tone?
Yes, because Wayne is a mad scientist, basically, right? We have a lab accident. We have a score. We have all these elements of like a horror movie, right? And like horrible, horrifying things happening. If you changed the score of this movie from like to a horror score, totally different movie.
Yeah.
And there are times where it is working like overtime. Like it's like, all right, tone this down a little bit. But but it is very good. It's very good.
Yeah.
So they find the kids. Finally, literally, they're no help to these children. I just want to point that out. In no way do they assist these kids other than like stopping the lawnmower. The kids make it back to the house themselves, and then they almost kill them. But anyway, they get them back. And Big Russ volunteers.
Yeah, his tribute. Tested on me first.
Yeah.
It was funny. He did it. He shrunk. Then he, reversed it and his hat was bigger, which was funny. So it's like his head shrunk. Side effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we get Thanksgiving. And this is the part where I'm really like, Wayne should be in prison. They're all just like eating a big turkey together.
They blew
like,
up the turkey. They blew up the
funny?
Turkey. Look at the power.
And Wayne's like, we're going to have leftovers.
Yeah. I mean, it ends on French class because Russ gives, Russ? I don't know why I'm,
Little Russ gives Amy mouth to mouth.
Mouth to mouth. And Nick's like, where'd you learn that? And he's like, French class.
Which, why would you say that? Why would that be a joke?
That was like, I don't even know why. Like, Nick, not Nick. Russ, you're so cool. And like, I kind of have a crush on you, right? Mm-hmm. And then that line, I was like, no, you lost it.
And also, like, Nick knows how to identify a baby ant. Nick, he's a smart science kid. He doesn't know what CPR is. Even if he doesn't know what it is, he's just like, I don't know how to do it. Right. But like, and so if someone says, I learned it in French class, you wouldn't be like, oh, whatever. I think now we're.
I know. It's just, I hate that. That's where.
Circling the drain of the logic of this movie.
It lands on French class. Ah!
Yeah. But I don't like the execution of this one, but I do like a movie where it's like, oh, it's all over. And then suddenly it's like smash cut to one person and they're like, oh no. Or
they came to a conclusion.
Blah, blah, blah. Or we never went back for so-and-so. And it's like, and that's the end. Like, kids love that crap.
Yeah, that's true. This is a kid's movie.
This is a kid's movie.
It's a family movie.
I watched the 3 movies with my 2 kids. And guess what? They were enraptured. They were watching it. They were paying attention. They were loving it. The 3-year-old and the 10-year-old.
Did this freak them out at all?
No.
Okay. When they're adults, it'll freak them out.
Yes. Did it freak you out when you were a kid?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't have any negative thoughts on this movie until rewatching it.
Same.
Yeah. I like that Russ has blood on him.
Yep.
They get dirty. Like we said, Amy drowns. Like the kids get dirty. They get bloodied up. They get hurt. I like that. I also really like... There's a line with Big Russ. He says to Ron to go do something. And Ron says, tubular. And Big Russ says, wow, he's only 12 and he's already thinking about construction. I like that.
That is funny.
And then there was one gag when Wayne is in the lab. He realizes what happened. He looks over and sees the broom in his face and the music goes like, dun, dun, dun. I thought that was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
So they made this for $18 million. It's pretty good, considering that they shot this for 6 months straight.
Wow.
Yeah, they started January 20th, ended July 20th.
I believe it, though.
Yeah. Goes on to make $227 million at the box office. Huge hit. Huge hit. Huge. And helped rejuvenate kind of Disney's like, oh, let's make live action kids and family movie stuff. Because they had Touchstone and they were putting things out. They were putting out like live action stuff through like other companies. It wasn't like a live action Disney movie, which throughout like the 60s and 70s, they're doing tons of those, right?
Yeah.
So they do this one and it's like, oh my God, $227 million to them at that time was like the company is saved basically. This has 76 on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.1 on Letterboxd, and 63 on Metacritic, which all seem kind of low. Not going to lie.
Interesting.
This is not included in the National Film Registry. And, if you look at the list of films that aren't in there, it's kind of like, okay, should Honey, I Shrunk the Kids get priority? Probably not. But I think it'd be cool to put it in.
I think so, too.
Yeah. Ebert gave this 2 out of 4 stars. He really praised like the effects, but he called this movie dead on arrival or dead in the water, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, he was not a big fan. Did not find it funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that funny.
Yeah.
I think it's more like the concept is what captivates you.
Yeah. And I mean, you have like The Incredible Shrinking Man, you know. You have Gulliver's Travels where he goes to Lilliputian people, whatever. So it's not like this is like an entirely new idea, but it's a great idea. And like I said, I would watch 6 Honey, I Shrunk the Kid stories. Put them in a mall in one movie. Put them in a
like where would you want to see? That's like such a good question.
Yeah, put them in an animal shelter in one, or put them in a zoo. Put them in a zoo.
Oh my God, that's terrible. That's scary. No.
Put them in the circus. I don't know, whatever. I'm just saying, like tiny little dudes running around getting into trouble. It
like
works.
what would you want to be shrunken down to experience? Like everything seems so scary.
If I had, like Ant-Man, the movies with the comic book movies, they do this really well because Ant-Man is a superhero, and so he can run and jump. He has ants that fly that he can fly on, and so he can like traverse the environment with much more ease than these like little kids can. So if I had some kind of like contraption, that totally changes.
No. You are just Seth. You are Seth being shrunken down. What are you experiencing with your day? And here we'll add this in. It's guaranteed you're gonna, at the end of the day, you get to be full size again.
I survive.
So you survive. So you could take the stress out of it.
Probably a dump. The look of like absolute disappointment on your face was pretty funny. Like a dump, you get to interact with all different kinds of material and environments and stuff. You could befriend a rat, ride on a rat for a while. I don't know. What else? I don't know. What else is there but a dump?
Yeah, there's a whole world, but
Yeah.
you want to experience a dump.
Well, what would
All
you
right.
do?
I don't know. I think I would want to go in Ant's pocket and experience his job.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Just his perspective of the day. I do the same thing every single day for work. So if I could go to an office and see what that's like, I know that sounds, well, is it better than a dump? I don't know.
So you want to be a temp worker?
In a pocket.
Okay. All right.
And then I would just sit on the desk, and then Aunt could like feed me small crumbs of food.
See, and that's the thing. It's like the size is wrong. Like
quarter of an inch,
so
apparently.
Quarter
Quarter of an inch.
Tiny.
I know.
You want to be
at least an inch.
You want to be the size of an M&M minimum.
Oh my God, that's too small. I'm thinking an inch.
Okay, a peanut M&M.
Yeah. Okay, a peanut M&M.
Yeah, because you could walk from one side to the desk in a few minutes.
I think it would take longer than that. It would take me a few minutes to walk from one side
peanut
to the
M&M?
desk to the other. Well, how big are its legs,
So we have a segment of the show where we talk about what we would cut, what we would edit, what we would keep. It's called What the Keck. Do you want to go first or you want me to go first? I'm cutting the whole scene where the friends show up for the trip.
Really?
I mean, it's funny, but like there's just no need for it. They're already not going on the trip because their kids are missing. You don't need people to show up and explain to them why and do the plumbing joke and have Victoria Jackson lift up her glasses and go, "That man's flying over there."
Yeah.
So I'm cutting that completely. And then I would probably edit down. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I know.
Maybe like I want more of the kids. Like there's so much adult stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe I would edit down some of the stuff with the neighbors.
Yeah. Like just the two of them talking.
Yeah.
I would
all
do that
of the
too.
Setup when the kids are still big. I think I'm fine with both families because we're establishing who the characters are, right? We're giving the kids the obstacles that they'll need to overcome when they're small.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the talking between them and like the cops and stuff, like we can bring that way, way down.
Yeah.
And then I'm just keeping everything in the backyard, everything where they're small. Make that double the length of that, man.
Yeah, I agree.
But I guess it would have cost a lot of money.
That's true.
And time.
Yeah. Definitely keeping everything in the backyard. I am also going to edit down some of the cutaways to May and Russ speaking. I think there's a couple of things we could have cut. And I'm actually going to cut completely the cat and dog interaction.
Okay, yes.
Because it's ridiculous. And even though I love a cat, this is just not necessary. Like, we know Quark is he's the MVP. So
yes, yeah.
Because he finally like overcomes the cat. Like,
right.
No, we don't.
This is the first unexpected and unwelcome cat of the show.
I know. And I would never. And even when like Aunt and I were like, the cat's not doing anything wrong, because the cat didn't do anything wrong. But I just think that scene wasn't necessary. You probably didn't need to hire a cat unless the cat just showed up and wanted to be in the movie.
Like The Godfather.
Or let's have the cat in the backyard and let's experience being real tiny up against a giant cat, that would have been cool.
Yeah. Oh, that cat would have killed those kids. That's all I gotta say.
I know. Unfortunately, I don't think it would have been very friendly like Quark.
So we asked some friends on Twitter what they thought. Jeff Dubray at Jeffrey Don't Bray.
Wait. Say that again.
Jeff Dubray at Jeffrey Don't Bray.
You don't say.
That's pretty funny. Says, one of the most underrated movies, a perfect family film. Felicia at Cinemaroni, she says, Rick Moranis is such a treasure, and this is the type of movie only the late 80s / early 90s could produce. What was going on then? I still don't know.
Yeah, good point, Felicia.
There was something in the air.
Mm-mm.
Paul Muad'Dib at Trig
Hey.
Raptor, Dune Buggy, says, watch this as a kid. Remember the bug parts so much better than everything else. Mm-hmm. The bit of moon pie, ? That they find in the grass looked so delicious and fun to play on. And of course, Anty's death was traumatizing. The insectile old yeller.
That's pretty great.
The Cheerios part always freaked me out. And yeah, we didn't really talk about it too much, but I like oatmeal cream pies.
Yeah, me too.
And I can't imagine taking a handful of the cream that's bigger than my head and like eating it. Like that would be just sugar overload.
Well, yeah, those kids were starving though.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Dan Port. At Dan Port.
Simple. Dan Port is Dan Port.
Says, at the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience thing at Epcot, they'd pull kids from the line to ride the bug during the show. My brother got picked, and I was so jealous. Oh, no. Oh, no, Dan Port.
Oh, man.
I know. I'm, like, upset for Dan Port retroactively.
Yeah, me too. Sorry, Dan Port. Dan Port is the kind of name you have to say both. It's not Dan. It's just Dan Port.
Yeah, Dan Port.
Dan Port.
Ra, ! At Rashawn Jamal, says, picture it. 14-year-old me got drafted to take his little brother and friends to the movie. I expected to just be sitting there with my Walkman, blasting Public Enemy, but wound up having a great time.
I love it. I love it.
Laughing Willow, at laughing_Willow, says, the first time we went to it, I sat with both my legs up on my seat. So I had no idea why everyone was screaming as the mice tails were hitting their ankles.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And we're of course referring to the stage or the
Honey, I Shrunk the Audience.
Yeah,
3D
the live
show. Yeah.
3D show
at Disney. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
That's so
Everyone
funny.
Starts screaming around you and you don't know why. That would be scarier, actually.
Yeah, and you're like, what's going on? I don't feel it.
And finally, Canadian Requiem at Brittany Queers.
Brittany.
Says, one of my favorite childhood memories is getting the chance to play in the Disney World Honey, I Shrunk the Kids play area with my aunt. We're almost the same age. So cool. It felt like being in the movie. So fun.
Yes, my people are here. It was so cool. It was so cool.
So there's some people that we do know. Now we go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. Half star, 3-star, 5-star. All right, so these are reviews from letterboxd.com. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a movie. We go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating that you can give a movie. All right, in honor of Sean Shank saying that he liked the Muppets, I'm going to do this as Miss Piggy.
Wayne is the kind of guy who claims if he cooked, he would burn down the house, but boasts about his barbecue skills. Mr. Szalinski, an inventor, enjoys notoriety without any responsibility. When he goes out for a conference, being the deadbeat he is, Wayne leaves the shrinking machine plugged in and, you guessed it, shrinks the kids. The children involved are given lifelong trauma. Nearly eaten by insects, almost crushed by Lego, no repercussions are faced when the kids are brought back to normal size because Wayne is a good bloke. Good bloke.
And I agree. I agree with that. Everything that they said.
Yeah, we were pretty angry with all those.
Maybe
we're on your side.
First half-star review we've ever agreed with.
Like all valid points.
Yeah. It's just like, Wayne kind of shrugs and goes, well, I don't know. And everyone's
it
like,
works.
It's okay, Wayne. Right. 3-star review says, for 1 hour and 41 minutes, this film shrunk down all the stress and worry of adulthood and returned me to the glory and innocence of childhood.
I'm doing something wrong.
And I think that's what Michelle wanted to happen.
I did. I really, really did.
Yeah. Michelle went into this like, I'm going to fly around on a bee. And then it happened. And she was like, oh my God, I'm flying around on a bee. 5-star review says, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids belongs in the canon of classic live-action Disney movies. It's a fun and clever movie with memorable characters and strong performances. The story works for children and adults, and the special effects are still pretty believable after 20 years. Wow. It really came out over 20 years ago? I suddenly feel old. 5 stars. So we rate a movie as a schmovie, a movie, or a film. We also give it a rating 1 through 5 stars and give our final thoughts and recommendations. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. What do you think I rated this?
Now I really feel like I screwed up. So I wrote down that you were going to rate this 4.5 stars.
Whoa. Okay, well, I'm rating this a movie.
Okay.
And I'm rating this 3.5 stars.
Whoa.
It is so good. This is an iconic movie to me. This is a great family film. I still love it, but watching as an adult kind of changed some feelings towards it. But I would definitely recommend it. If you haven't seen it, Blast from the Past, you should go revisit. Because even if you haven't, right, I'm pretty sure you know what this movie is.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you know the premise of it. And it is fun to imagine yourself being shrunken down.
Absolutely.
So I think you definitely should watch it. But yeah, I have to. Yeah, 3.5 feels low. I was between 4 and 3.5.
For me?
No, for me.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna. It's like
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
I know.
Going into this, I was like,
because I chose it.
I really feel like I really felt like the spread was between 3 stars and 5 stars, and I had no idea where. So I kind of went high towards, but like still middle.
Yeah. I did. This is like a gut feeling, and I didn't rate it until tonight. So
got it. You had to sit with it.
I had to sit with it. It's more like, but maybe like a 3.8.
Yeah.
But I know you can't really do that. So,
Got it.
yeah. Yeah. What are you doing, Seth? Should I tell you what I thought? Well, I told you I wrote down what I was going to
So
rate
for
it.
me, you wrote down 3.5.
I did. Yeah.
All right. This might blow your...
If this is a 5-star movie for you, I'm going to flip this table.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I am rating this as a movie, and I'm going to say 4 stars. The reason, and
Okay.
4 stars is not my enjoyment level. 4 stars
Yeah.
is what I'm rating this film, like, critically.
Yeah.
The reason why is because looking at the work of the people who made this, it's so odd, but they're so talented, and the talent really shines through. Like, Stuart Gordon had to drop out of directing this because he had such high blood pressure that he had like a catastrophic bloody nose that sent him to the emergency room, which is why Joe Johnston took over. Even with losing their director like weeks before starting, the film still comes together and makes sense. And I know that we just kind of trashed on a lot of the parts of it for a while, but this is a great kind of curio, I guess, piece
Mm-hmm.
in like the lineage of practical effects and monster movies and like creature features and family movies. Like, I don't know what the 90s look like without Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Right. Right.
And so I think like my 4-star rating is more so just for like its importance and its legacy rather than it being like the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And also because I watched it with my kids and they had a ball with it. And so I know this is still a movie that works for kids. Because I watch a lot of kids' movies. They don't all land. They don't all work.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
Yeah. And I do recommend it. I do recommend it. If you haven't seen this or if it's been a long time since you've seen it, I think that you kind of need to see this to understand at least this genre of movies in this time period. Like you can watch, you don't need to see this to understand all movies, but as a film history podcast, this is an important piece to what would come for the next at least 5 years until Toy Story. Toy Story changes kids movies, from that point forward, but I think that this really sets kid movies up for the next 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to set us up for the next 5 to 6 years, we'd love it if you give us a rating and a review. Subscribe to the show. If you don't subscribe, we're going to disappear. You'll never hear us again. We're going to shrink down into nothing.
That's right. Seth's going to go to the dump, and I'm going to an office job.
I'm going to the garbage, and Michelle's going to work.
Dream big. Help us.
Which should tell you that we're adults contemplating this, not kids.
Exactly.
You can also send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know where you would go, okay? And also, like we said, we've got an Ask Me Anything episode coming up at the end of this month. So if you've been listening for a while and you're like, why Seth think this? Or why Michelle do that? Great time to find out. I'm assuming that's how you talk.
Robotic.
You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional shows, patron-only Discord, and voting rights for movies that we cover and monthly themes. For example, next week's movie.
What are we doing, Seth?
Well, we had a lot of movies suggested by the patrons, and
wow,
it was a dead heat between several films. And one film came out to the top. So next week, we're going to be talking about The Last of the Mohicans from 1992. So we're just barely escaping the 80s, by the way. And we actually worked forward in sequential order. We started in 1981 with Raiders of the Lost Ark. Wait, no, we're not. No, we are. Then we went to The Princess Bride in 1987. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in 1989, and now we're in 1992 with The Last of the Mohicans.
I like it.
Anyway, directed by Michael Mann and starring a little guy named Daniel Day-Lewis.
What?
Yep. This is the first appearance of Michael Mann and Daniel Day-Lewis on this podcast. So this is going to be a big episode. It's 112 minutes, And unfortunately, this is not currently streaming anywhere, but I'll get my mom to drop off the DVD to your house.
I don't have a DVD player, so tell her don't waste her time. I do, but it's not hooked up. Calm down, film friends. You schmovie schmoes.
So you can be a schmovie schmo, you can be a movie friend, or you can be a film freak.
I wish like it was like movie mate. It was like movie mate, film friend, or a schmovie schmo.
Yeah, there you go.
Even though we're movie friends.
Right.
Yeah, but.
And this will be a first time watch for me too.
Same. Oh,
so we're going in blind.
War?
Hey.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm not judging. I'm just looking. Oh, man.
Well, my genres say romance, adventure, action, war, drama, history.
Yeah. Okay.
Romance.
All right.
Yeah. Here we go. The adventure is almost over.
Wow. Here we go.
Here we go.
Mohicans.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth.
Hey, and thank you for listening. Till next time, when we're talking about the last of the Mohicans.
Wait, Seth.
Oh my gosh, what? What happened?
I don't feel right about my reading.
Oh no. What?
I can't. When you were like going off about the Mohicans and all of that, it came to me. I'm changing it to 4 stars. It's 4 stars. It's not 3.5. It's 4 stars.
Wow. This has never happened before.
I know. It doesn't feel right. I can't end the episode and not get this out. I'm like stressed out. This movie has stressed me out so much.
This movie has really taken over. Gee whiz.
Oh my God. Like I'm like, my blood pressure is rising. Okay.
Just like Stuart Gordon. If you get a bloody nose, you need to go to the hospital.
Okay, 4-star movie. Okay.
Okay, all right. For those of you keeping track at home, take out your movie friends notebook, cross out the 3.5 for Michelle, and put back in 4. Okay. Anyway.
I feel better. Thanks, Seth.
I'm good.
Thanks.
All right. I'm glad. Thanks, Michelle.
All right. Thanks.
Anyway, thanks for listening. Have a good one.
Wait! No, just kidding.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Pecora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks.